The Powertrain Perspective podcast is sponsored by TransStar Aftermarket Solutions.
Welcome to Powertrain Perspectives. Thank you for joining us. Kind of a different approach today. A few weeks ago, I talked to John Haynes about third-party warranties and how they're used in these extended warranties and how they're used in transmission shops. And Chris reacted to that video podcast and said he had some other thoughts. So today I'm joined by Chris Smith. He is third generation owner of Ronnie Smith's Transmission, founded in 1978. Is that right, Chris?
That's correct.
And so going on almost 50 years. And you reached out and you said you have your operation there includes a couple of transmission shops and you have a sister company that's a used car dealership?
That's correct.
Well, tell us about the shops. How many bays do you have and where are they located? One's in, go ahead and you tell.
Yes, you bet. Our headquarters is in Abilene, Texas. We have a 13-bay shop here. We are primarily a transmission shop. We have another shop in Big Spring, Texas, out west. It's a 5-bay shop, and it's our most of the rebuilding happens here, and we ship back west. But it's primarily transmission, and they do a little more automotive work too. We've had good luck in both cities, and we have collectively probably should have had this figured out, but probably about 15 employees for the two shops.
And your shop in the east in Abilene, this is one that's bench building for the other shop, basically?
Correct.
And tell me a little bit about the used car dealership.
Okay, so that's a company we started close to 10 years ago. We got into financing cars, and it did very well. And then COVID happened, and so we kind of tapered off a little bit on that. The demand's still there. We just lost a lot of manpower for some reason. Employees went away, and so we've kind of lost our momentum on that particular business, but it's still up and going. It's just not like what it was.
The interesting part for our discussion today is that you, in that role, are both a seller of these extended warranties and the user of or I should say the service provider with those extended warranties.
Yes. We have sold service contracts, and it's a big deal in the used car business as well as new cars, but for two reasons. For one, if you are selling it, you make a pretty good profit from selling them. And the more you sell, the more you make is usually how they are set up. And for the other reason is when you sell a car, and inevitably it's going to break at some point, you might have a bad customer that comes back to you or to the car salesman and says, "Hey, you sold me a bad car." And you can kind of say, well, you've got a service contract or an aftermarket warranty. So it kind of takes the heat off of you and puts it onto the warranty company. And so it's really a growing thing in the used car industry.
Now, is this something that goes on to the price of that particular vehicle and is financed, or is it a separate, can it be financed is the question?
Yes, it can be wrote up into the buyer's contract and go towards,
Okay.
The financing will go towards it.
And I think you told me that 30% of the work coming into your transmission shops is covered by such a warranty, either the one you wrote or the one somebody else wrote.
That's true. Yes.
So when you're now having a claim, you've sold it perhaps, or someone did, and then it's now in your bay and you're dealing with the claims. To give us a little bit of the progression or the process that you go through with the claims and how you process that.
Yes, you bet. So we get a lot of these, as you mentioned, about 30%, and every claim is different. You could have 3 identical contracts, 3 identical vehicles with 3 identical problems, and each one's going to go a little bit different direction, just depending on the agent that's working this claim with us. And so it's hard to establish a general guideline about how it's going to go because they're all so different. But usually what it seems is they want to get out of the claim. They try to find every reason they can usually to get out of the claim. And it's important to educate the customer before starting the claim. Okay, here's what to expect. They don't want to pay for your repair. They just don't, or at least they've never implied that they want to. And they're not really interested in a long-term solution or what you want. And that being said, we've got a 2-page thing. Every customer that has a contract, we make sure that they read this and understand that what to expect. And we have laid out some rules that, this is where we draw the line. There are certain things we're just not going to do. And we've been very effective in that. The service contract company, for example, they're going to want to do tear downs. They're going to want to do, they're going to have certain warranty requirements, which is not a big deal. They're going to have certain ideas on how to fix problems, even though they're not here to see the vehicle. And they love to do more minor repairs. For example, they love to replace torque converters. They love to do, and really that's not necessarily good for the long term for the customer. And it's really, most of the time, not the root problem. And of course, they don't know that. They're going off of, maybe status quo or something else.
Sure.
But one of the big things they want to do is provide parts for us to install because they don't like our labor rate or they don't like our repair solution. And so what we like to do is tell the customer, okay, so customer, you've got this type of failure. This is the kind of repair that we recommend, and these are your options. What do you want? And the customer, they'll usually want either an in-house overhaul by a nearly 50-year-old shop that they know is going to be here tomorrow, or they want a name brand reputable remanufactured unit put in.
Sure.
And so whatever they want, that's kind of how we're going to fight. And so we will not accept any kind of tear downs because that's how these companies like to get out of paying for repairs. Or they'll say, hey, well, for example, we'll use the oldest trick in the book, a 4L60E with a burnt 3/4 clutch. They're going to say, okay, do a tear down. We'll pay you, an hour labor for the tear down, and you have to tear down to the point of the problem. That's usually the vocabulary they use, and so that's what you do. And then the customer needs an overhaul with hydraulic recalibration and all these different things, torque converter, because we have to stand behind it on our warranty. Well, you
Sure.
get in there to the 3/4 clutch, you're probably going to say, hey, there's a problem. Replace that clutch pack. So less than $50 in parts here, and they think they're going to be satisfied with that. And we all know in the transmission business that 3/4 clutch did not burn out on its own. There's a reason that it failed, but they're not too interested in that. They're more interested in just getting this thing rolling as cheap as possible, and it not serving the customer for the long term. And so we don't do tear downs. A lot of times they want to send us these no-name remands. We won't accept parts sent from an outside source. We're happy with remands, but we need to make our margin on that. This is our business, and we need to make our margin on the parts. And so if customer wants a remand, well, we're just A-okay with that. We need to make the margin on those parts and not rely on these no-name parts that we know nothing about coming in that are we're not going to make a nickel off of. And
Sure.
so that's one of the things they like to do. And we've put our foot down and said, we've got a whole list of rules in this sheet of paper that we give to the customer. These are the things we're not going to do. And when you stand up to them, most of the time you're successful. Even with this set of rules, our success rate on getting these claims paid is very good. Although they don't always pay the full amount, but the customer has to pick up the difference, but that's okay.
Well, you said something interesting I wanted to question you on, and that was you have to stand behind it. Now, once you've done this work and the customer's picked up the car and gone on their way, does the extended warranty still apply, or is it your warranty that now applies?
It's our warranty that applies, or whatever the part, if it's a reman, it would be the reman's warranty that applies. And until that is out, and by the time that's out, usually the contract has expired.
Sure. So you told me it's really crucial to your transmission business that you accept these because it's a big part not only of today's industry, but of the future of our industry. And tell me about, you said 30%, so this is a chunk. And how often would you say one of your shops takes in one of these extended warranty jobs?
We probably get, I'd say probably two to three a week.
Yeah.
Just for the Abilene location.
So bottom line, it really contributes to your bottom line as far as the volume and the overhead.
Yes,
okay. Yes. Well, Chris, we appreciate your time. We appreciate your explanation and your knowledge from both sides of the extended warranty issues that are faced by transmission shops today. And thanks for joining me today on Powertrain Perspective.